Whoa, that's cool, actually. Okay. Hey guys, it's Tiqqle, and in this video we're going over Balance Druid. Last video I went over all the Shaman specs. In one video we're going to break down a little bit slower now just to go through the Boomkin changes in this video. You'll see other videos about Feral, about Resto Druid, about some of the other classes, the specs. Let me put it down below in the comments what you want to know more about, but we're going to start today with Balance. I'll be doing a lot of stuff on stream, actively answering questions, so definitely feel free to come by for that. But let's get into it. How I've been doing this in general is I've been walking through the overall class, because that's the way Blizzard's changed it. Every class now has class identity. And the new way that Blizzard's doing the class design is they have a tab for Druid abilities. Now, some of these are talents, like, for example, Mighty Bash is a talent, and it labels it as such. The other ones are just abilities. So Cyclone being baseline. Cyclone being baseline, even in Guardian, you can see I have Cyclone, and I have all the other abilities that I have here. If I switch specs, all these abilities are going to stay the same, as long as they don't say talent next to it. And sometimes they can change a little bit depending on what spec you're in, but for now we're going to stick to Boomkin. So let's just go over the Druid-specific stuff, which we'll do probably in each video. Number one, you get Bark Skin. This is pretty much the same as you've seen it in BFA, etc. Your skin becomes tough as bark, reducing damage. You also get Taunt, which requires you to be in bear form. All the shape-shifting, of course, that is in all the specs of Druid. You also get Hibernate, which is a CC, a pretty good CC, but not used as often as Cyclone and other things in PvP especially. All classes or all specs of Druid get Iron Fur. Iron Fur, again, requires bear form, so some of these abilities are everyone might have them, but you have to be in that shape-shift form to use it. Now, Mangle's also there, so bear form ability. You also get Entangling Roots on every single one of the specs. That's not that big of a surprise. Ferocious Bite, Moonfire. The Cyclone baseline is pretty big, though. That is pretty nice, because before people had to talent it in their PvP tree, and now that is gone. That's just baseline, which is kind of nice. Now, we'll get into the talents in a minute. Next is Stampeding Roars, everyone. Prowl, of course. Now you get some cat abilities. I don't see that many cat form abilities here, though. I guess that's if I go Feral Affinity, but we'll get into that. Regrowth, of course. Shred. Okay, Shred is the Feral ability. Yada yada. Okay, so it's pretty basic, but the big change here, and this is across all the specs, is Cyclone is baseline. So rejoice on that, especially because that means it can be used in PvE now, or world PvP, or sorry, world PvE stuff. Yeah, it can just be used in general. Now let's get into the balance specific abilities, and I'll try to call it the best of my ability the differences in some of these abilities. It will depend on my spec, so I'm Feral Affinity right now, so it might kind of throw you off. So just remember, like Rip, for example, that's only because I'm in Feral form. So let's just go over the casting abilities first. First, Celestial Alignment, Celestial Bodies Align, beginning both Eclipses and granting 15% critical strike while this persists, and it generates Astral Power. Now, Boomkins have been changed a bit of how their how they do damage. They still have Astral Power, meaning they still have a spender, which is a Starsurge. But the way that their Eclipses work is just a little bit different, and you'll see that. I'll kill some mobs really quick. But this is, in the way they've changed, Incarn is a little bit different, so we'll get to that too. Celestial Bodies Line. So this is beginning both Eclipses, granting 50% critical strike. So okay, here's my two Eclipses. Wrath time cast time reduced by 20%, damage increased. Starsurge, cast time reduced, but AoE damage is increased. Okay. Wait, AoE, area effect damage. Yeah. Now, why I think they did this is because I think they're trying to make Wrath and Starfire actually do damage. In BFA and other ones, the dots did the damage, and your Starsurge did your spending burst. I think they're trying to make casters feel like they do damage while they cast, and I'll show you when we kill some mobs. Moonkin form is exactly the same. It still has the effect where if you get hit, you have a chance to proc an instant Starfire, which is in the middle paragraph there. All right, we still have Remove Corruption, getting a Curse and Poison, no problem. Starfire, same. Generating Astral Power. Starsurge, again, launching damage and extending any active Eclipse by 3 seconds. A little bit different. Last time in BFA, what does Starfire do? I'll put it up on the screen. It made it so when you use Starfire, it empowered your next your next Wrath and your next Lunar Strike. But to be honest, Starfire, they didn't really do that much more damage. But now, what it's doing is it's extending that Eclipse, and the Eclipses are what Boomkin's going to be playing around, it seems like, which is increasing those castable damage. I think Starfire is still going to do pretty good damage. Like if we look here, it's still doing 1,000 damage compared to 300, but this gets buffed up by your Eclipses, etc., right? So that's a big difference for Starsurge. And by the way, everyone, just a quick reminder, we're level 50. Okay, there's a stat squish there is a eye level squish. My item level is 75, so keep that in mind as we're going through this. Next, Starfall calls down a wave of stars falling upon the enemy for 40 yards, dealing 1.3k astral damage over 10 seconds. We'll see if this is actually useful in PV. In BFA, it was largely not useful for the second half of it anyway. It's a pretty unique ability, though. I mean, it's pretty cool. It really is. Now, it does look like it's instant. Oh, it's a circle around me. That is very different. Starfall is a huge ring around me. Whoa, that's cool, actually. Okay, it does cost a lot of astral power. But look, it's just this big circle around me. That is cool. La, 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 la. Screenshot. Shameless screenshot. All right, so that is cool. That's different. Usually in BFA and stuff, you would have to select a target in an area to drop it. Pretty nice, Blizzard. Pretty cool. Kind of interesting. Definitely different use of it. But, I mean, Starfall has been notorious for pulling extra mobs in dungeons, and it looks like it's still going to be that. So, cool. All right, you also get Typhoon. Oh, nice. Typhoon is baseline because they took the talent out. So every Boomkin gets that Typhoon. We like that, actually. That's pretty cool. That's a nice utility for Boomkins to have, especially if they're getting trained in PvP. All right, that's that. Wrath is the same. Generating astral power a lot more. 6. Oh, that's 8. Okay. Yeah, I guess the astral power number generation, I'll have to look into if that's really changed, but okay. Feral Swiftness, of course. Astral Influence, this is already in the game, right? Eclipse, now this is where things are a little bit different. Starfire has a 25% chance to empower Wrath for 13 seconds. So Wrath has a chance to empower Starfire. And that's, you know, back and forth, right? And that is Wrath cast time is reduced by a certain 20% and damage is increased. So that means you're increasing that castable damage. And then similarly, Eclipse for Lunar, Starfire cast time is reduced. So I'll show you what that looks like here. But in the mastery is pretty much exactly the same. Eclipse increases nature damage by 37%, and Lunar Eclipse increases arcane damage. Also to point out that your Lunar Empowerment will affect Full Moon, and it will affect Starfall. So kind of lining these empowerments up with the abilities that you're playing can make a pretty big difference. So make sure to check that out. We did test on stream, so I'll make sure to include that VOD link down below, guys, and we'll see you on the stream. Now, if you remember in BFA, right? BFA, it was using Starfire, so you get a faster cast time buffed up. Starsurge, Starfire and Lunar Strike. I think they did change the name of this, but it didn't feel like it did anymore. The cast time was reduced, and I think the damage was increased too. I'll double check. I'll put it on the screen, but it didn't really feel that great. So, like, I'll just show you with these skills what it looks like to kill a mob. I'll grab this guy right here, this poor guy. So now I'm gonna cast my buttons. I'm gonna cast my Wrath. Do 2. There's my Lunar Empowerment. Okay. So Lunar Empowerment. The cast time is reduced and the damage increased by 100% AOE. So that's pretty good. 400 damage is pretty good. I'm gonna use my Starfire. I used Starfire. It gave me another Lunar. Actually, no, it didn't. It just extended my Lunar Eclipse. Okay, so we're gonna dot them up. You can see my dots are ticking for 50s. If you see those numbers, 50s, and then Starsurge is hitting for 1,000. That's a lot of damn. But now here's the thing: I'm wasting Starsurges because Starsurge is meant to extend Eclipses. That's very different than the mentality that people had in BFA. It's like, but using Starsurges so you can get more castable damage. Yeah, a little bit different. The rotation and the weaving of spells is going to be different. So we're going to go ahead and cast our buttons. There's a proc for Lunar Empowerment, right? We're going to use Lunar Empowerments until we get a Solar Empowerment. We're going to dot them up. Another Lunar Empowerment. I'm like baffled that I haven't gotten the other one yet. We're going to try this one. Starfire, please give me Solar Empowerment. There it is, Solar Empowerment. Again, cast time reduced, damage increased. We're going to cast that puppy. Hitting for 450. That's pretty good. And so now we'll Starsurge to extend that duration. We just extended it. So we'll use another one, another Soul, and then we'll extend it a little bit more so we get another one. That's pretty cool. It's a much different mentality than it is right now, where Starsurge is the only thing that you have. Now you have something that will extend the duration of your ability to get those castables out. So it's almost like something that's going to prolong. You're going to have to weave it together. So that's kind of how the Eclipse system works, guys. This is a quick and dirty day one view of it. Let me know in the comments what you think. I want to jump to the talents though, and I know there's so much to talk about, so we'll have additional videos about how this stuff plays out in the world, rotations and all that stuff. Let me know in the comments what you want to see as well. But let's go ahead and go through the talents. I'm going to this inn over here. All right, so if we look at the talents, generally things look exactly the same, except for Heart of the Wild, which we'll get to. But things have been tweaked a little bit. I was looking versus BFA. So Nature's Balance is pretty much the exact same. Warrior of Elune is exactly the same and generates 40% additional power. Force of Nature, this is summoning 3 treants. That's same. This tree is pretty much the same. This row, Tiger Dash, Renewal, Wild Charge, which is a pretty cool ability. Now, this is where they've changed a lot. Feral Affinity, Guardian Affinity, Restore Affinity. They've changed it a little bit. So Feral Affinity is generally the same. It has Rake, it has Rip, it has Swipe, it has Maim, which is pretty cool. That's a lot of CC, a lot of, well, Maim being a stun, right? Guardian Affinity. This is pretty cool because they've added Incapacitating Roar. Now you might be like, wait, Tiqqle, what's that? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. That is a CC ability that only Guardians had in BFA, and now it's to everything. So let's go ahead and look. There it is, Incapacitating Roar. Shift to a bear form and invoke the Spirit of Ursal to let loose a deafening roar, incapacitating all enemies within 15 yards for 3 seconds. So it's an AoE disorient for 3 seconds. Damage will cancel the effect. It's pretty cool, though. That's pretty cool. So that's pretty nice that that's just baseline now as part of Guardian Affinity. What? Yeah, you'll see Frenzy Regeneration there is with 1 stack. Resto Affinity, similar to what it is now, except now you're getting Ursal's Vortex. I'm pretty sure that's not in BFA, which is pretty nutty. If you don't recall what that is, I'll try to get that. Let me see if I can test that out. This is where you put it down for the wind, and if someone tries to run out, it sucks them back in. Pretty cool that that's there. Now, that's neat, right? That's neat. Big stun. AoE CC and positioning. That's pretty cool. Now, and it might actually make people, well, we'll see. I'll show you the next part, which is pretty cool. Mighty Bash is pretty much the same, stun for 4 seconds, 1 minute cooldown. Mass Entanglement is the same, AoE root. And then Heart of the Wild, this is different. This is a new talent being brought into the new X pack. I think it used to be for Druids. Instant. It's a 5-minute cooldown. 5-minute cooldown is freaking huge. Abilities associated with your chosen affinity are substantially empowered for 45 seconds. Huge. That is huge because Resto, the healing of your restoration spells increases by 30% and mana cost reduced by 5 seconds. This tier, this used to be Typhoon. Now it's this. Hello? That's awesome. So I could get a big Swift Mend off if I'm Resto Affinity. Or maybe Rejuves on everybody. It's increasing that ability to get the healing pumping out. Now if I go Guardian, what does it do? Guardian, it actually is kind of a weird talent where it doesn't tell me everything. It actually depends on which one I have selected, so I have to switch it. This one, Bear Form, gives an additional 20% stamina, so way more health pool. Multiple uses of Iron Fur may overlap, stacking that armor. And then Frenzy Regeneration has 2 charges. We like that. We like that. And then Feral Affinity. You guys will like this. You go Reckies out there. Damage of Feral abilities is increased by 30%. Not only are you doing damage in this spec, like people have been doing in BFA, now it increases that by 30%. That is pretty awesome, pretty cool. And I'm very curious to see how this is played as a 5-minute cooldown. That is a huge cooldown. But here's the thing. It's on the same tier as Mighty Bash, which is often always taken in PvP. Mass Entanglement, which could be used for Root Beam, especially as a Boomkin. Remember, guys, I'm a Boomkin, so remember that. So that's that. And then Boomkin, why would I take Feral Affinity? But you guys tell me down below. All right, so that's that tier. Pretty big play right there. Now, next is Soul of the Forest. This is different than it was before. Eclipse cast time reduction is increased by 5%, and duration is increased. So this makes my Eclipse last longer and be more effective. Starlord, Starsurge, and Starfall grant you 3% haste for 20 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Gaining a stack does not refresh the duration. Now, Starlord in BFA was affecting your empowerments. In BFA, you did have lunar solar empowerments. They just worked differently. It was mostly about cast speed. So that did change. Kind of interesting. I do like it, especially because stacking haste might be a big deal. Especially because you're going to already have, with your Eclipses, you're going to be casting things already faster. Now, Incarn, this is very interesting. In BFA, this Incarnation, I'll put it on the screen, hopefully, if I remember, it increases the spell damage that you do by 25% and your haste. And I guess critical. Now, what it does today is they took out that increased damage. It's kind of interesting that they would do that to me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But now what does it do? It improved Moonkin form, causes your both eclipse to be active. Let's see if we can just proc it right now. All my eclipses, which is the cast time reduction and increased damage and AoE damage, and it also increases the haste and crit. Last 30 seconds, you may shapeshift out, etc. What this means to me, though, I'm guessing that Blizzard did this because they don't want Boomkin to have necessarily just one button, you know, to make you viable. They want to have those casted abilities and the chaining of them, a prolonged rotation, to be something useful for Boomkin and have them have pressure in PvE and PvP. Let me know what you think about this change in the comment. I think this is going to cause some tension in the community, but that's that. Next, we're going to go increase Starfall. This is different, actually. I thought it was the same. It's different. Increase Starfall duration by 2 seconds, is damage by 25 seconds, and allows you to cast while moving while it's active. Well, here's the thing. We know now that I can pretty much, I pop it, and I can start casting right away. So pop it, I'm always in it because it circles around me. This just means I can run and cast as a Boomkin. That's what it means. You want me to Cyclone on the move? I'll frickin' do it. I ain't scared of no ghost. That's what it's about. So now, whoops, wrong button. But I wanted to Starfall again. Starfall is this big circle around you. So that means you're the star. And that's what it's about. That means I'll be able to pop this and start casting like a fiend. Look at it. Look at it. It's beautiful. I love running and casting. You guys know this. It's amazing. I also don't think it will aggro random mobs. Like that mob's not getting hit. I don't think that mob over there is getting hit. But we'll see. I don't know about that for sure. But that's that. That is a cool one, guys. That is very cool. And it increases the damage by 25%. It could be a big AoE boy. Now, Twin Moons, I'm pretty sure this is the same. Increased Moonfire damage. Stellar Flare burns the target, generating astral power. This is the same. I checked that. Moonfire and Sunfire damage over time has been called down a star and generating 2 astral power. This actually was like 4 or 6 astral power in BFA, so that was a little bit of a nerf. Don't know why. Fury of a Loon is pretty much the same exact thing, except this does a lot of damage, it seems like. And then Full Moon is here. I really, really hope New Moon and Full Moon, I hope this thing does a lot of damage because we love the moon. We love the moon. But guys, okay. That's it. You saw how the Eclipses work. We went over the skills. We went over the talents. We went over Druid in general. This is pretty exciting. I'm not going to lie to you. I really am going to be playing this on stream. I'm going to be playing a bunch of different classes on stream, so make sure to come check it out. And I'm going to be doing, I'll try things that you asked for. We did this with a Shaman already. And this is very exciting. This is very exciting. I'm very excited for this whole entire X-Pack and now Druid Boomkin looking pretty good. So with that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video. I'm going to make a different video for Feral, different video for Arcane Mage, all the other classes, two-handed DK, Frost. We'll get to it. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one on stream, guys. Thank you so much for the love. See you later.